What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to take a look at a new knife I just purchased the other day to replace my aging yet still beautifully functional Kershaw Blur that I've been carrying for years and years and years now. What we're looking at here is a Schrade SCHF14, which is kind of a small, easily packable fixed blade. And I've been a proponent for carrying fixed blade knives for a long time too, if you can get them sized right. But it's a pretty interesting little knife, guys. Just picked it up, so let's start taking a look at it. So, like I said before, Schrade SCHF14 full tang fixed blade knife. This is actually a drop point. What I originally wanted was actually the SCHF15, which was a really abruptly pointed tanto. I just couldn't find one locally, and I ran across this one at one of the local sporting goods stores, and the price was just too good to pass up. So I went ahead and got it. Still like it, still perfect, no issues at all. The blade is actually kind of interesting. It's got a stonewash finish on it, which it almost kind of looks like a dark denim. Remains to be seen how durable that'll be, but I got a sneaky suspicion that that's actually going to be really durable. I've been carrying this knife a few days now. Exclusively wore it 2 days straight, all the way through the day. No issues with weight or anything there. It's actually an 8CR13 MOV high carbon stainless steel. So it's a Chinese steel, but I think for the application of what you're doing here in a fixed blade design, I think that's more than capable enough from a metallurgy perspective. High carbon to give it a little bit of a benefit of added edge retention. Stainless to also give it a little bit of an edge on corrosion. You know, obviously it's not one of the high-end steels, but it's not a $250 knife either. You know, I think all in after tax, I bought this knife for under 40 bucks. So it's a lot of bang for your buck for the money. So again, I've got a nice drop point, heavily beveled. You know, it makes it look really nice. I know it's not all about aesthetics, but you know, the way that they have their beveling ground in makes it look nice. One thing I might end up trying to do at some point is getting maybe a partially sharpened upper part of the blade here. Give it a shot. I already started doing a little bit of work with the blade itself. It did come relatively dull from the factory. I mean, sharp from a utility perspective, but nowhere near as sharp as where I prefer my knives to be. So we got into playing with that edge just a little bit yesterday. See if I can, you know, it's nowhere near done, but it's better than it was. You can see they don't stamp the steel type in the blade, but they do stamp the model. That brings us to another pretty cool thing that kind of drew me to this knife, is the scalloped G10 handles. You know, on a utility kind of type economy based knife, you don't really see G10, especially kind of scalloped up, which gives it a really nice feeling in the hand. Well put together. The texture's just about right, not too aggressive where it's uncomfortable, but you got a lot of grip. Form fitted on the bottom here. You have some jimping on the spine. That's one thing that I wish they kind of did a little bit better though. With a fixed knife like this, that jimping in your thumb placement, it doesn't give you a whole lot of room here for protection to kind of dig into the knife. You know, is that enough? Sure. But if you were ever using this relatively hard in the field, you know, I like the finger grooves and the jimping on the spine to be really pronounced and really shaped in there. So as I keep this thing and we deal with it some more, I might end up doing some machine work to it and kind of laying it in the way I would like it. But you know, perfectly mission ready right out of the box. You know, a lot of bang for your buck there. I'm certainly impressed with it. It's my first Schrade that I've ever owned. You know, I've seen them, but to be blatantly honest, you know, they never seemed like a quality brand to me. And if this is the level of product that they're putting out, man, I'm feeling like I left a lot on the table with them, and I missed some stuff. But you know, a couple other little points of note. It has an exaggerated lanyard notch, I guess, or it's not really a hole. But I already took advantage of that. The first night I got it, I made a new lanyard for it. This is one of the new lanyards I'm starting to make, with basically just a box weave. But I'm starting to try and learn how to do little devil tails on my cuts, and I've been working on some knots that I can go through the center and kind of have it look infinite and not have like a tensioner or a bead there. But thing carries really well. And that'll bring us to the next point of note with this. So another little interesting point of note that I really think drove the value up for this knife is it's got a really nicely made Kydex sheath that came with it. It's a fold over, but as you can see, they're probably using industrial machinery to do their foldovers, because that's just really, really tight. Retention is really good. Slide in is really good. You know, very positive lock in. You know, very nice. It does have a clip on the back that you can kind of change position and get some cant in it if you want. The one thing I don't really like, and really it's a minor gripe, is the way that they set up their clip. It's a pass-through clip, so you actually have to remove your belt, run your belt through it. You're set up where you could run a tech lock or something like that on there, which I would most certainly do. That's the one thing I found yesterday that was kind of a bummer for me, is having to remove your belt to string it in. It's just a pain in the butt. But overall, I mean, you know, I've seen much lesser quality Kydex work on much higher end knives. So that's a tremendous little bonus. I think it's done really, really well. It looks like high quality stuff, so pretty interesting. And one other little point, since we got the lanyard so exposed here, I thought this was really cool. I just started messing with paracord stuff lately, but I found this cord with like these hexagonal patterns on it, which I just thought was really, really cool looking. You know, so simple box, but I'm digging that. I like it a lot. If any of you guys ever want a lanyard or something, I'm not in the business of trying to make paracord stuff, but I'd definitely be into making you guys one for any of my viewers or any of my fans. So if you guys are interested in something like that, give me a buzz, man, or hit me up in message. I'd be more than happy to make you one and send you one out. So with all that, I guess I can just quickly run through the specs. The overall length is 7.9 inches tip to tip. The handle length itself is 4.5 inches. That's just about the perfect size to fit in my hand. I have medium hands, not too big, not too small. The blade length is 3.4 inches. That's about perfect for carry. You know, this isn't gonna be like the outlandish Bowie type sword. You know, this is really a knife that you could use for work and have the chance to have a pretty sturdy blade on you at all times. Really attractive. The actual piece of steel itself is about 1/4 inch thick. I was out yesterday doing some shopping for some blank steel to practice some file work on, and actually it came in handy because it was a perfect measuring method for me to make sure I was getting the steel I like. I prefer to, especially with full tang or fixed blades, have that rear be at minimum 1/4 inch, possibly more. You pay for it a little bit in weight, but I like the strength and it's worth it to me. So, you know, I think it's a really well-crafted knife. Comes with a very well-crafted sheath with some changes to potentially the jimping. You know, obviously put an edge that I would prefer on it. It's a really solid value and an excellent base to, you know, start carrying fixed blades. I purchased this with my own money. This has nothing to do with Schrade or anybody else. This was a knife that I just saw that just really appealed to me. So, you know, from an endorsement standpoint, you know, I haven't had it long enough to say good, bad, or indifferent, but I will tell you, you know, this knife came out of my bank account. So Really interesting stuff, and I'm impressed with it enough that I'll probably end up still trying to get a hold of one of those Tonto edges. But just to recap, you know, the edge was lacking a little bit out of the box. We've already did a little bit of work with it on an Edge Pro to get it cleaned up. I mean, it was a solid utility edge, but just, in my opinion, if you're going to carry a knife, it should be sharp, you know. But I've been carrying it for a few days. I do like it. Once I get a good edge on it and make some of those modifications, I think it's going to be a great knife. And it'll be a constant companion for me on my hip for a long time to come. Definitely digging it. For the street price of around 40 bucks, you know, this represents a pretty solid value in my opinion. And I'll make a couple other videos with it, farting around, you know, when I get a chance, cutting some stuff, beating it up, seeing how it acts in the real world. But really liking this thing so far, guys. So anyway, thanks for checking it out, fellas. Go check yourself out a Schrade SCHF14. See if you like it as much as I do. Have a good one.